You're listening to MMA Think Tank with Jay and Mike.
All right, Mike, we are back, and it's only, a week out from our last podcast. And, that's because I won't be here next week, so we had to do it tonight. And we hoped for a great night.
That is right. We thought it was going to be great.
Yeah, well, because we were going to watch UFC 209, and then we were going to recap it right after. So we thought we'd bring you a good show, guys, and we'll still try to bring you a good show.
Jay, we may just have to throw a lot of comedy in here as opposed to professionalness.
Jeez. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, let's get into it, Mike.
Fight Rewind.
Woodley, Wonder Boy, what's your thoughts?
So Woodley wins 48-47, 47-47, 48-47. He gets the majority draw this time instead of he gets the majority win, I guess. Win by majority as opposed to the majority draw that was the last fight. This fight was horrible. Jay and I texted back and forth this time. We don't always during the big fight.
No.
Sometimes we did this time. I told Jay that I was worried about this fight, that it could end up the way it was last time. I didn't like the last fight. A lot of people did. However, I did not think it was going to be as bad as this was. And I know, Jay, you thought it was bad as well. So I'm not trying to make the last fight and this fight the same to you because I know it wasn't. But it was just bad.
Yeah. No, it was worse than the last fight, in my opinion. And the last fight wasn't a barn burner either, but I enjoyed the last 2.5 rounds, 3 rounds. Let's say 3 rounds. I really enjoyed it. This, man, I'm hard pressed to pick one round that I really liked, It was just a bunch of dancing. Bunch of walking around the ring for 5 rounds until Woodley started to come in with a flurry at the end. And man,
it's basically Wonder Boy pushes Woodley back to the fence, which happened a lot in the first fight, and then nothing really happens. And I gave Wonder Boy rounds 1, 2, and 4. They were close rounds though, and I gave it to him because the striking was close. Maybe Wonder Boy won the striking, but it was close. But he had octagon control.
Yeah.
And then with round 3, I gave to Woodley, even though Wonder Boy had maybe a few more strikes and some harder strikes, but he got the takedown, landed some strikes on the ground. Of course, round 5, went to Woodley. I don't think, Jay, that you would probably disagree on that.
No, not at all.
So it came down to, was it going to be a draw again? I texted you, is this going to be a draw again? Because I thought Wonder Boy should win this fight, but I told you and I told my buddy Yvonne, I said, those rounds were close. 1 and 2 were close enough to that they might give it to the champ. And I think they did give one of those rounds to the champ.
Yeah, they must have. But in any case, nothing really happened of any real substance for the first 3.5 rounds. So, right. It was like you could have rolled the dice, on who won this fight. It was just ridiculous. It was that bad. If you guys didn't see it, I suggest you don't. It was that bad.
In my opinion, though, it was similar to the first fight, only worse. You could equate Woodley's takedown in the 3rd round to the first round in their first fight, where he got the round 1 pretty much for sure by catching the leg and taking him down. And then you could take the 5th round and make it like the 4th round of the last fight, where he by far won that round. So you can look at it close to that, but I don't want to do that completely, Jay, because even in the first fight, I recognized that they were trying to figure each other out and stuff like that. And there was more going back and forth between them in the first fight than this fight. Here, look, I kept texting you and kept saying to myself, all right, Wonder Boy, what do you want? You've got him against the cage. You now have your range. Do something. And I hope I don't steal your thunder here, Jay, but if you're going to say this, but Woodley, you've now got the range. You can't go back any farther to shoot in on him or do something. And he wouldn't do anything.
No, and you've got Wonder Boy. You've got Woodley, the champ, not doing anything either. He's backing up, matter of fact, most of the fight. Act like a champ once in a while. What is it about Wonder Boy? I understand that he's dangerous. All fighters are dangerous. Are you going to do this every fight with every fighter? Come on.
I don't know, but Tyron Woodley is the greatest welterweight of all time. You know that, right, Jay?
No, he's definitely not.
Yeah, he said that twice now. He said it on the broadcast in one of the one of the hype packages, and he said it during the weigh-ins. He's the greatest welterweight of all time. So much of BS, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I just make sure that look. I don't want to leave Wonder Boy out of this too. I like Wonder Boy. I like him as a fighter. I like him as a person. He's got everything I like about fighters generally. But his last few fights, this one, their first fight, and then also the fight against Rory McDonald, where he did piece up Rory McDonald. It just seems like he's holding back, and he shouldn't have held back in this fight. I think he would have finished this fight easily if he doesn't hold back, because he was evading a lot of Woodley's punches. And Jay, that's all I had to say about this fight. Not about this fight. Maybe we can talk about where they go from here. If you have anything else, I sure would like to wrap about if you want.
Well, who's next up that's going to fight Woodley?
So you're looking at Damian Maia versus Masvidal. It was going to be Maia. Now Masvidal's fighting Maia, and that's what we've got.
And I think either one of them can beat Woodley at this point, if this is the Woodley we get.
I don't know how much of that is Wonder Boy being unorthodox in a karate style and going to knock you out.
Masvidal's pretty unorthodox though. He's a pretty he's a game fighter. He's still a stand-up boxer though compared to like the karate style. I know. I get that. I understand you, but I'm just saying Woodley's just looked really bad his last two outings, and as a champ, that there's no way. I don't understand how he calls himself the best welterweight champ ever. Geez, that makes me even more mad at the guy. Look,
and I think, by the way, Jay, I think Maia beats him as well.
Yeah,
Maia gets his. Me and Pinky Maia. If you get his pinky on you, it's all over. And I think he gets Woodley, but maybe Woodley can knock him out before he gets him.
And we could both agree then Masvidal would be a good challenge, though.
Yeah, I don't watch enough of Matt. Okay, let me put it this way. Masvidal is not on my radar as much because I've watched all his fights that have been on TV, obviously, because we're big fans and we like Masvidal, but I haven't seen him as much as other fighters, and so I can't judge right now his takedown offense against Woodley. So I would say Woodley would have probably still the better takedown against his takedown defense, unless you see something in Masvidal that I don't.
Masvidal has been up and down sometimes with fights, but lately he's been up. He's been more on the upswing. So I think that he definitely has a shot against Woodley, could beat Woodley, and Maia for sure I think beats Woodley. I think if he gets anywhere near Woodley and grabs him, like you said, the pinky thing, it's over, and that's all we really can say about these two guys, man.
Yeah, I just want to say when they read the scores, it was 48-47 Woodley, and then 47-47 a draw. I thought this might be a draw again, and I hope they don't run this back, even though they probably should because it was a draw again. And then when they said 48-47, it still could have been a draw. It could have been Woodley, a draw, and that's I don't know what that would be called, but that would be a draw again. So the most fun, or the most intense, or the most interesting part of that fight was reading the scores for me.
Yeah, I don't want to see it. I didn't want to see them run that back. I don't want to see them rematched ever again. That's how bad the first two fights were. So, no, I don't want to see a third. Guys.
Sorry, Jay, go ahead.
No, I don't want to see a third, Mike. That's all.
Oh yeah. If there's a third one, it's got to be way down the line. But
no,
we're really
never
going to see what they do now in their next fight.
No. See, that's the thing. Never. Even if one is up for it, I don't care. You're going to wait till the other guy loses. All right. You're going to wait until whoever has the belt, whichever one of them at that time has the belt, has got to lose it before the other guy can get it. Even if he's on a 20-fight win streak, I don't care. That's how bad this fight was. You wanted some comedy, guys. There's some comedy thrown in. Okay. I don't ever want to see these guys fight again.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll probably say on this is that I respect Dominic Cruz, not just as a fighter, but even more as an analyst. And I don't know if he was trying to save face for the company or what, but he said that it was, he said it was,
a chess match.
How great these guys are, you understand this is a great fight. No. It wasn't, and Joe talking about like, oh, it was an amazing fight. How you guys both had to do this and that.
Yeah,
I just can't agree with
they get paid to say that, so they can't say, this fight sucks, guys. What do you think, Cruz? Oh, I think it's terrible. They're not doing anything. They're just walking around the octagon. They can't do that. So I get it, but at the same time, like everybody at home, everybody in the stands, they're all looking at these two guys going, never again, Dana, never.
Yeah. Well, the fight that should have been the fight of the night, which was canceled.
I agree.
Looking forward to this fight as well, was Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Tony Ferguson. Now, Nurmagomedov couldn't make weight. Guy passed out. So the team took Khabib. His team took him to some random doctor in Vegas instead of calling Dana White to take him to the UFC, official UFC doctor. And Dana White said, look, if you had taken him to the UFC doctor, he would have been cleared to fight, and the fight still would have went on. Now I just want to say that, look, if my fighter passes out and I'm worried about it, I think I should know to call the UFC doctor, but they might have freaked out and they're just worried about him and they ran to the first doctor they went to. And I can't hold them that much for that. And the other thing that came out of this is that Ferguson was offered Michael Johnson, and but he declined the Michael Johnson fight. And again, this is during the weight cuts. This is the day before. And I agree with the Ferguson not fighting Johnson. But look, I think Ferguson now should be given the title shot for Conor McGregor. He's won 9 in a row. He's beat Josh Thompson, Edson Barbosa, Rafael dos Anjos. I mean, Khabib is always hurt. He can't make weight. Give Ferguson the title shot already.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that because you have to also add Khabib is always getting pulled out of fights. Always. And Conor McGregor has said it himself. He kind of foretold this, Mike. I sent you that text today. Conor McGregor had said that Khabib is always pulling out of fights, and look what he does. Now, he could have legitimately passed out because of a hard weight cut, but that's another issue.
I think he did, exactly.
Yeah, but that is another issue. Why does he have hard weight cuts? Well, he's big for 155. Every time I see him fight anybody in there, he's huge compared to them, and I'm talking size. He's just got size on him. The guy needs to move up or make weight, Do it safely, make weight, or move up. And obviously, he's not doing it safely. And that's my only advice. He's got to move up.
Yeah, and we just getting on right after the fights here, just about 5-10 minutes after the fights. I haven't heard Dana White's take on the main event or the co-main event that was supposed to be. We just talked about. I'm getting interested to hear what they say about that. But yeah, I mean, all I got to say really now is that you've got to give Ferguson the title shot against McGregor. A great fight that will be. And Nurmagomedov, he's got to, in my opinion, he's got to make weight twice in a row.
Yeah.
Or make fights 2 more times. As sad as that is, the guy's undefeated and supposedly he's never lost a round. If that's true, that's even more amazing. But if you can't make the weight or you can't come in healthy, then you're just hurting other people, man. And it's
exactly. Yeah, that's the main thing there. He's hurting other fighters that are, supposed to be fighting that day. They train their butt off. They make the weight. They try to go to the fight and they can't. That is some bull S, But let's talk about the fight that did take place there in their place. Yeah, Vannata versus what was his name again?
So it was David Tamor versus Lando Vannata, and it was a great fight.
Yeah, it was fantastic. It was the fight of the night, Mike. Hands down, fight of the night. I was very interested in this fight. I wasn't at first, of course, but I was interested while it was playing out because it reminded me, and I texted you this, guys. I know we say it all the time. It reminded me of the WEC days because these guys were hungry. They were going after it. They were fighting. They were in there using all the tools that they had. They were mixed martial artists in there tonight, and they were going for it. And I loved every second of it. This was a good fight.
Yeah, all great fight, back and forth, like you said. 30-27, 30-27, 30-27 for Timur. And it was one of those fights where you kind of wish it wasn't as one-sided as 30-27, but look, the guy won all 3 of the rounds, as close as some of the rounds might have been. And so he did win all of them. And I like to see, where both these guys go from here, because Vannata was the guy that took on Ferguson on short notice and did pretty well against him before he got finished, I think, in the second or third. And, man, Timur has looked even better since the show. So, yeah, well, we'll see what happens.
It's always great to see guys, up and coming like that. But Tamor is on my radar now. Venata has been on my radar, but man, I'd like to see these guys fight again someday. That's how good it was. I wish it was a 5-round fight, to be honest, because it was that good. So,
oh yeah, sure.
Anyway, let's go ahead and move on, Mike. You want to talk about Mark Hunt, Alistair Overeem?
Yeah, let's just go ahead and start from the beginning and then just end in the middle.
Okay.
Mark Hunt versus Alistair Overeem. I got a little ahead of myself and tried to pick Mark Hunt, first round knockout. I don't do that very often, but I just thought he would be able to just jump in there and kind of jump and wing it and knock him out. That didn't happen. It was actually knockout knees by Overeem in the third. Really good in the clinch. Hunt was all right in the first round. He landed some on Overeem in the second round, but Overeem was dominant in the clinch in the second.
Yeah.
And of course that rolled over to the third with the knees. I just think, look, Overeem's number 3. Good for him. He just beat a solid opponent, in my opinion. And, it's a heavyweight division, Jay. We always talk about, okay. So what's next for Overeem? What next for Hunt? For Hunt, I think he's probably going to retire. If he doesn't, he has a chance of losing in his next fight, and then he'll have a 500 record, which I don't want him to go out on.
Yeah, we were talking about it, again, texting right after the first round, and we both thought that he was holding punches back. Well, you agree with that, right?
That's right. Yeah, he was holding back, and I don't know why. I realize that Overeem is a tall guy, but if he's not attacking you as much, I mean, I realize that Hunt isn't a traditional brawler. He's a kickboxer. He has technique, but I thought he was going to mix it up a little more.
Yeah, and there was times where they both kind of damn near bumped heads and got real close to each other, and there was no punches exchanged. And I was thinking to myself, Mark, it was ripe for the picking. Why aren't you throwing, those haymakers?
Right.
I think he could have caught him several times in the first. He didn't throw, and he lost. And it sucked because I wanted to see him win as well. I think I picked him in the second. But
yeah, I think so. I think I went first. You went second. We talked about Tamor and Venata. One of the fights they moved up from the preliminary card to fill in, also on the main card because of Khabib not making weight, was Cynthia Calvillo and Amanda Cooper. And I thought that was a fun fight as well. And Calvillo got the rear naked choke, looked great in round 1. I guess it wasn't a great fight because it was so quick, but for a little bit there, both girls were throwing leather and they were grappling pretty well. But Calvillo now 4-0, won her debut, Jay, Team Alpha Male. She looked good. Her last her wins have come by 2 KOs and unanimous decision. Now she's got a sub, so she's looking legit for a prospect.
Well, yeah, and she was expected to win this fight. I'm pretty sure the betting odds had her winning this fight, and she did what she should have done. She went in there and she showed her that she's well rounded, and she finished the fight, and she did a great job. She looked great, and I can't wait to see her again. So this was I think, second time I've seen her fight, and I really enjoyed it again.
Yeah, I've seen her in Legacy, or if it wasn't Legacy, it was whatever they're playing on Axis TV. And something I want to say really quick about Team Alpha Male that I love they do, that Faber does, and I think Cody Garbrandt did it as well, and now she does it. She's like, hey, Dana White, give my boy blah, 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 a chance. Like, they're always talking about their teammates, give them a chance, move them up, that kind of thing like that. Yep. So I thought that was pretty cool on her behalf to do that. And I'm excited to see her. Obviously we're both Team Alpha Male fans. Another Team Alpha Male lady in the division that could make some moves.
It's awesome. And Mike, this next fight we're going to talk about, I want to tease a little bit about this fight. Okay. Daniel Kelly versus Rashad Evans. Now, if you remember back to our last podcast, I know it was a long time ago. Last week, we were doing our picks. I know you picked Rashad, and I picked Daniel Kelly as a joke, just because I don't like Rashad. Okay.
But what did I say about Kelly? He's legit. I said he's legit. He's a judoka who's in the Olympics. He's got a dad bod, but he's a rough dude. And I'm not going back on my pick on Rashad.
Rough.
I pick Rashad to win that fight. But man, if Kelly didn't come out and just look like, he
looked everything you said he was. That he looked rough. He had a dad bod, and he was a great judo practitioner, and he was. But the thing is Rashad, and the reason why I really don't really like Rashad is because he's not a good fighter anymore. He's just not, and he talks as if he is, and it's like, I stop, Rashad, just retire already. And now that Daniel Kelly has beat him, it's time to retire, because this guy.
13-1 Daniel Kelly.
Yeah, this guy came into the octagon with a bum knee. He came in with a bum knee, Rashad. You have no excuse. You looked like Tyron Woodley in there. You were ripped. You were cut. You were big. You were stronger, but you were old. It's time to retire, Rashad.
The reason I put that on the docket was just simply, him being the ex-champ and trying at 185 for the first time. So that was the extent of that. I don't think we're going to talk about Rashad anymore on the show or call any fights on him. But we may. Oh no, you never know. He'll fight Machida again. I don't know, but anyway. Yeah. But I seriously, you look at Daniel Kelly, and he looks like he won some kind of like fan competition to fight your favorite fighter or something like that. He walked out and like started fighting Rashad Evans and beat him.
It's so true.
It's just so odd. But that was the night, man. That's all the main event fights. It was a weird night. I wish I was more excited about the fight.
What? Screw you, Khabib. Screw you, because you ruined this card.
You blew it!
I think all the bad vibes and the bad jujus and all that, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. God didn't want this night to be fantastic. I don't know. I took the night off for it, and I was excited. I took three months ago. I asked for this night off, and it just fell apart.
But Mike, you're a super fan, so you get all the pay-per-views pretty much. You get most of them anyway.
Yeah, I get like 95%. There's one or two I won't get.
Yeah, but this is definitely.
I'll watch them, wink, wink, but I don't.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those that most people are probably passing on, especially after Khabib was pulled out, because a lot of people. I read it on Facebook. I read it on, Twitter. A lot of people were saying that the Nurmagomedov Ferguson fight was the main event for them, and it was for me and you too.
Yep.
It just really sucks. So yeah, I'm with you, man. Not to beat a dead horse, but I really would like Ferguson just to go for the title now, and I want Conor to fight him, because Ferguson is a guy who makes weight, fights, and doesn't pull out. So Conor, do the right thing. Fight Ferguson.
And don't forget, he looks like a bug when he wears his sunglasses. As much as I love El Kukui, he looks like a bug.
Well, that's what he is, El Kukui. He's.
But speaking of belts, man, just one other fight to cover, and that was from Bellator yesterday. That wasn't that great of it was a better card than this card was, but Marlos Kunin versus Julia Budd for the inaugural featherweight title in Bellator. Budd took Kunin down with these all 4 rounds till she got the ground and pound finish, and she literally finished Kunin's career, retiring her. Jay, what did you think of that fight?
I thought it was a good showcase for Budd, because she was able to take her down and basically manhandle her for 4 rounds and until she got the win. And it was a big feather in Bud's cap, because Kunin is the veteran in this sport, one of the pioneers of the sport for women's MMA. And, my hat's off to Kunin, though. She's retiring now. So, good luck to all her future endeavors and whatever she decides to do. But
yeah, if anybody could open up a gym from one of the most recent female pioneers, she's certainly one of them. But when I was watching the fight, I was remembering the last podcast we did about how I said, when is she going to fall? Because it's been 17 years. She just lost it. She lost it to Dufresne, and this was the time. It was her time to finally walk into the sunset. And it was nice of her to tell Julia Budd that as well after she gave her speech about retiring. So yeah, that's all the fights now in our bonus abbreviated show.
Yep, that's the recap there. So Mike, I know you've got some news for us, so
News Corner.
Let us know what's going on.
Yeah, so the real big one, of course, the GSP is back and fighting Michael Bisping for the middleweight title later this year. A lot of people don't like this fight. I'm fine with it, Jay. I see this as a super fight because you look, GSP never really lost his belt. He had to give it up. But I do feel bad for Jacare. Romero, not so much, because Romero's a cheater.
Jacare, but wouldn't Jacare get the next fight anyway, regardless?
No, Romero was the number one contender.
Okay, so Romero would.
He beat him, remember, technically, but he didn't really beat him.
Okay.
Those two guys were next in line.
All right, so, Bisping, I don't have an issue with this either because GSP never lost the belt. I think they would do this for any champ that sort of retired with the belt and comes back. I think they would do it with any one of them. Any of the big ones anyway, and he was a huge star. GSP is a big draw. So
they were talking about, remember Silva versus GSP was a big talk for a long time.
Yeah. So and my wife is very happy over this. GSP is one of her favorite fighters, and I don't like to talk about why, but she.
I will say this: I didn't post on the Facebook site, but look up the press conference that was from yesterday with Michael Bisping and GSP. It's pretty funny. It's bad. It's good. It's ugly. And it's not Conor McGregor great, but it's pretty funny because Bisping is drunk, and you're looking at GSP who's trying to be respectful and he's trying to chime back, but it's not as good. But anyway, make sure you guys look that up.
Is it anything like you better watch your underwears? Because I'm gonna F you
like
tonight.
David Timur.
Okay, yeah. Tamer saying that on Tough was just hilarious. Look that up, guys. So, Mike, who do you think is going to win this fight? Preliminary.
I mean, it's tough because GSP's gone for so long. If it was less than 3 years, I'd probably, I'd go GSP for sure. I'm going to lean GSP right now. When I saw them standing together at the, facing off, Bisping was bigger, but not by much. Bisping has really good takedown defense, or if he gets taken down, he gets up quite easily. He's a really good striker. I don't know how GSP's jab is going to look now. I don't know how his wrestling is going to look now. So I'm going to lean towards GSP right now, preliminary. That's what I'm doing.
But here's the thing. GSP has never stopped training. So he's been training the whole time he's been out. So I'm going GSP big time. I really am.
Yeah, he says he's the best he's ever been right now, but they always say that.
They always say that crap.
Rashad was the best he's ever been. So.
Well, he looked the best he's ever been. He really did look great.
Yeah.
Physically.
But that doesn't win fights though, or Hector Lombard would have beat Hendricks. So moving on, Alexander Gustafsson. I'm just happy that GSP's back. I'm really, really happy.
Yeah.
Good fight. But Alexander Gustafsson is now going to fight Glover Teixeira at Fight Night Sweden. That's on May 28th. They're just calling it Fight Night Sweden right now because they don't have a number for it. That's a great fight, Jay. We've got these what I call the top three of DC Jones and Johnson, and Gustafsson. How's he going to look against Teixeira? Both these guys have fought for the title but haven't got there. They're the next rung. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Gustafsson, I think, should take this, though. Should.
I'm thinking so, too. I mean, Gus just beat Jan Blachowicz by unanimous decision in his last fight. Looks pretty good. But, he's lost to both DC and Anthony Johnson before that. So, he's 1-2 in his last few fights. But he only loses to the elite. Kind of like Teixeira. He just beat Jared Cannonier by unanimous decision. But, he lost to Anthony Johnson before that. So, I think this is really, whoever wins this fight wins one more fight. They're fighting for the title, in my opinion. And I'm going to lean Gus too, but you never know, man. Teixeira, he could be as strong as Johnson and knock him out.
Yeah, he's got the power. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I'm leaning Gus, and that's in May or
May 28th.
Okay,
so it's a little bit out there. Also in May on the 13th, Damian Maia versus Jorge Masvidal has now. Is now going to be on UFC 211, so that's going to be a great fight. Maia's on a 6-fight win streak with wins over Condit, Nelson, Brown, and Magny. Masvidal's won 3 in a row too. He beat Pearson, TKO'd both Ellenberger and Cowboy Cerrone. Cowboy Cerrone was a real eye opener for a lot of people, including myself. So who you picking on this one, man?
I think I'm leaning Maia, man. Just because of what type of opponent he's faced so far. He's faced a lot of guys that are like George Masvidal. So I'm going Maia. At this point, he's got more wins under his belt consecutively. I'm going Maia.
Yeah, I think that he's just way better in that discipline. I don't think he should if he stands. Let's just put it this way: if Maia stands too long, he's going to get knocked out. But hopefully, he won't do that. I assume he's going to throw a couple of punches and shoot in, and probably shoot in quite a bit. He's not afraid to shoot multiple times in a row to get a takedown and to get that sub. So I'm going Maia as well.
Masvidal has good takedown defense. However, I think Maia can pull it off. Like you said, man, he grabs that pinky, it is over.
Yeah, it's all over from there. Another fight on the docket, I just think was kind of a nice fight. It's not huge, but John Dodson versus Eddie Wineland. It's going to be at UFC Fight Night 108. That's on April 22nd. I bring Dodson up because he was one of the best flyweights in the division for a long time. He did just lose to John Lineker by split decision, and but Wineland, he's kind of had a resurgence in his career. He's won 2 fights in a row. Both TKOs over Frankie Sands and Takeya Mizugaki. I know those names aren't huge, but he was close to retiring, Jay, and then I forget, somebody was talking mad trash about him, and then he came back out and got knocked out. But I just think that's going to be a pretty good scrap. Not going to be big for the division, I don't think, but a good scrap.
And just to give you a preliminary pick, I'm going to go Dodson with that one as well. I just think Dodson's quicker and stronger. Yeah,
I think so too. And moving into to one of your favorite fighters, if not your favorite fighter currently right now, this is the last one we'll talk about. Mighty Mouse versus Wilson Hayes. And Jacare Souza versus Robert Whitaker is going to be there as well. Look, I don't have to say anything about Mighty Mouse. So.
Mighty Mouse versus who? You cut out when you said it.
Oh, it's Wilson Hayes.
Oh, okay.
So,
he was originally
earlier in the year or last year.
Yeah.
And something happened. I forget what it was, if somebody got hurt or what happened, but they scrapped that fight. Well, Hayes gets another chance at it. Hayes is on a 3-fight win streak, so he's probably the rightful guy to fight Mighty Mouse. But as I've said about Mighty Mouse and Jacek, I pick Mighty Mouse until he loses.
Yeah, and nobody beats Mighty Mouse. I think this guy could possibly, if he stays in that division, he never gets beat.
Yeah, is this, if he wins, is this the one now where he gets the record or ties the record? I'm always off by 1 or 2.
I don't even know anymore, because it's got to be at least tied.
I think he gets the record because he beat Tim Elliott. I think that got it. And I'm sure you guys are probably out there yelling at us, but that's what we want you to do, and call us and tell us as well. So
yep.
So either way, he's going to run through Hayes, I think. So
it just, man, I love Mighty Mouse, but I want to see him fight some better competition. That's for sure.
And that's going to be the bantamweight division when he moves up there, hopefully soon. Jacare and Robert Whitaker. That's a pretty good fight, I think. Jacare, of course, got the 2 wins in a row over Belfort and Boach. You make the Romero loss into a win, and he's got an incredible 11 in a row.
Whitaker's looking good too lately. So.
Oh yeah, and Whitaker's on a 6-fight win streak.
Yep.
He's got wins over Hall and Brunson. So this is a great fight. I think this might be the sleeper fight. That's because everybody's gonna be talking Mighty Mouse, I think. Even though, of course, Jacare is a fan favorite. But I think this fight could be a lot closer than we're thinking.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I think this is going to be a good one myself. All right, Mike, you got any other news?
No, that's just it.
That's it.
Have fun in Texas, man. Have fun on the drive there, seeing your boy, and on the way home as well.
Yeah, I definitely will try. And that's why we kind of knew this was going to be a short show, guys, because we didn't have much to recap this week. But I appreciate everybody listening. And like Mike said earlier, give us a call at 925-237-1296. Let us know your feelings on everything we've talked about tonight. You could talk to us about things that we've talked about back in our first podcast. Could be anything.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny, Jay. I was thinking of our first podcast about how we were talked about what we thought about when we heard that Jose Aldo was out of the fight with Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt about Khabib Nurmagomedov and Ferguson. I was like, no, the whole Michael Scott, from The Office. No.
Yeah.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Yeah.
No!
So yeah, I'm back on Facebook if you guys haven't noticed, for sure. Doing it every other day though, but the presence is there, writing about stuff on there. Everything I write about, I should say most of everything I write about is going to be on the show for the upcoming podcast, so you get kind of a preview there. So I'm back writing, and we got Facebook, we're on Twitter. What's the phone number, Jay?
Well, the phone number again is 925-237-1296. The Twitter is MMA Think Tank PC. That is for podcast. And then we've got email at mmathinktank@gmail.com. So you can write us, call us, or tweet us.
Sounds good. Well, my friend, have a good night. And I'm going to hopefully have a good night and kind of lick my wounds from my boy Mark Hunt losing and my boy Wonder Boy losing.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
Boy Ferguson not getting a chance to win.
Yeah, I hear you. So to everybody out there, thanks for listening yet again, and we will talk to you on the next podcast.
Thanks for always being there, Doc.